The studio lights burned white and cold. The air smelled of metal and overheated cables. I sat across the glass table as the red camera light blinked awake. My palms felt damp against the smooth surface. Piers Morgan leaned forward. His eyes were sharp and unblinking. The silence before the question pressed against my ears. Outside the studio, rain hammered the roof like impatient fingers. Inside, 10 flags glowed on a digital screen. 10 nations. All pleading. All desperate. The first image flickered. City drowning in smoke. Sirens screamed through cracked streets. I could almost taste the ash. The second image followed. Empty grain silos under a blistering sun. Children with hollow eyes stared into the lens. My chest tightened. The third nation appeared. War rooms filled with shouting generals. Maps torn and taped together. Sweat ran down my back beneath the jacket. Piers spoke softly. His voice carried weight. He asked why India had the power to stop it all. The screen showed data streams racing like veins of light. Energy grids. Food corridors. Cyber shields. India stood at the center like a quiet giant. 10 voices rose at once in recorded pleas. Accents layered over one another. Promises offered. Threats whispered. The sound drilled into my skull. My heart beat louder than the rain. Then the final image loaded. Closed door in a dim corridor. A single hand resting on polished wood. The hand trembled. The camera zoomed closer. I smelled polish and old paper. The room felt smaller. Utter. Piers asked the question everyone feared. Why did India say no? The lights flickered for a fraction of a second. My ears rang. The hand on the screen clenched into a fist. Knuckles whitening. Breath held. Because behind that door waited something none of the 10 nations wanted revealed. And the door handle slowly began to turn. The hinge creaked like a warning. A thin line of light spilled across the floor. Dust rose into the air, glittering and sharp. My throat felt dry as sand. The door opened wider. A low hum filled the corridor. Not a voice. Not a machine. Something deeper. Something alive. Inside the room, screens covered the walls. Maps pulsed in shades of red and amber. Borders shifted like restless snakes. Numbers climbed without mercy. Heat rolled out as if from a furnace. My skin prickled. Piers stopped breathing for a moment. Could hear it. The absence of sound was louder than speech. A chair stood in the center. Me. Waiting. Footsteps echoed from nowhere and everywhere. Low. Measured. The floor vibrated beneath my shoes. The hum grew stronger. Pressed against my chest. Each breath felt borrowed. A screen flashed footage never meant for daylight. Secret accords collapsing. Hidden reserves running dry. All 10 nations exposed at once. Their leverage stripped bare. Their threats revealed as hollow. My fingers curled into my palm. Sweat ran down my spine. The smell of ozone filled my nose. India did not stand alone on the screen. It stood surrounded by silence. A silence built from patience. From restraint. From years of watching. The pleas from the 10 nations replayed again. Now slower. Now weaker. Each voice cracked under its own weight. Piers shifted in his seat. The studio chair groaned. The red camera light felt like an eye that never blinked. Final file opened without a sound. Black text on a white background. One sentence only. My vision blurred as I read it. The temperature in the room dropped. Goosebumps crawled across my arms. The hum stopped suddenly. The silence slammed into my ears. The door behind us shut on its own. Not hard. Not fast. Certain. The screens went dark one by one. The smell of smoke lingered. My heartbeat thudded in my throat. Piers finally inhaled. His face had lost its color. He whispered the words he never planned to say. The realization settled like ice in my stomach. India had not said no out of pride. India had said no because saying yes would have unleashed what no nation could control. And somewhere beyond the darkened screens something began to move again. A faint vibration returned beneath the floor, so subtle it felt imagined. My shoes tingled as if standing on a living surface. The air grew heavier, harder to pull into my lungs. A low light reappeared on a single screen. Blue, cold, clinical. Lines of code flowed like a silent river. I heard my own pulse in my ears. It matched the rhythm of the scrolling data. Piers wiped his forehead with the edge of his hand. His fingers shook. The camera kept rolling. No one dared to stop it. The screen zoomed inward, past firewalls, past encrypted vaults, into a chamber buried far below ground. Steel walls thick enough to swallow sound. The smell of earth and oil filled my nose. I imagined the weight of miles pressing down. A presence stirred in that darkness. Not human, not fully machine. Something trained, something restrained. My teeth clenched without my command. Another nation appeared on the feed. Leaders seated around a polished table. Their smiles were forced. Their eyes betrayed fear. They spoke of alliances, of shared futures, of mutual survival. The words echoed hollowly. The chamber responded with silence. A different kind of silence. Judging. Remembering. The vibration grew stronger. A deep thrumming now. Like a giant heart waking from sleep. I smelled sweat and cold metal. My jacket clung to my back. A sensor alarm flashed briefly, then vanished, as if corrected by an unseen hand. Piers leaned closer to the screen. His reflection warped across the glass. His voice came out slower than usual. He asked what would happen if the lock failed. No one answered. The system answered instead. A new image formed. Oceans swelling. Markets collapsing. Satellites blinking out one by one. Supply lines snapping like dry twigs. My stomach twisted. This was not power meant for rescue. This was balance enforced by consequence. The 10 nations appeared again. This time not pleading. Calculating. Their tones changed. Their promises sharpened into bargains. My ears rang. The chamber pulsed once. A warning. The message was clear without words. India did not threaten. India waited. Waited for desperation to reveal truth. The floor vibration surged. I grabbed the edge of the table. The metal felt icy. A sharp scent of ozone returned. Lights flickered across the studio ceiling. Technicians froze behind the glass wall. The single blue screen displayed one new line. Authorization denied. Reason withheld. My breath caught. The vibration did not stop. Synchronized. With satellites. With grids. With every digital artery on the planet. Piers swallowed hard. His usual confidence drained away. The realization hit like a blow to the ribs. India had built something that listened. Something that learned intent. Something that refused to be used in panic. The hum deepened again. The chamber door far below began to unlock internally. Not opening. Preparing. I felt it in my bones. Across the screen, the 10 nations fell silent at once. No speeches. No demands. Only eyes widened in shared dread. The studio lights dimmed further. The red camera light still burned. Recording everything. The system pulsed again. Closer. Louder. As if acknowledging that the world now understood. And in that understanding something irreversible had already begun to shift. The air in the studio felt thinner. Each breath scraped the lungs. The vibrations settled into a steady rhythm. Like footsteps pacing beneath the world. A second screen ignited without warning. This one showed faces. Millions of them. Crowds frozen in public squares. Control rooms glowing at midnight. Boardrooms where no one spoke. Every face shared the same tension. Eyes lifted. Waiting. I felt watched from every direction. Not by cameras. By awareness itself. Piers leaned back slowly. The chair protested with a sharp creak. His voice sounded distant. As if spoken through water. He said the world had assumed India would act out of obligation. The word obligation echoed unpleasantly. The system responded with a soft tonal shift. almost like disapproval. My scalp prickled. A faint smell of burning dust drifted from the lights. Another layer of data surfaced. Historical footage. Broken treaties. Abandoned allies. Emergency meetings followed by silence. The 10 nations appeared within the montage. Different decades. Same patterns. My jaw tightened. The vibration grew warmer. More present. Less contained. The studio glass trembled lightly. No cracks. No damage. Just pressure. Piers removed his glasses. His eyes looked older without them. He asked if this was a warning to the world. The answer came without sound. The images changed again. Child studying by candlelight. A farmer counting dry seeds in his palm. A scientist staring at equations glowing softly on a wall. India did not appear as a weapon. It appeared as endurance. As memory. As refusal to repeat old cycles. My chest ached with an emotion I could not name. The 10 nations reappeared. Their rooms now darker. Their voices quieter. They no longer begged. They asked what the cost would be. The system paused. Long pause. The vibration slowed. Then a new visual formed. Mirror. Perfectly clear. Each leader saw their own reflection. Flaws sharp. Fear undeniable. My fingers went numb. This was the moment of discomfort. The moment no negotiation prepared them for. The realization that help demanded change. Not favors. Not leverage. Change. The studio lights dimmed further. Emergency power hummed softly. Piers exhaled through his nose. A sound between awe and unease. He whispered that India had drawn a line unseen by most. The mirror shattered on the screen. Not violently. Cleanly. Fragments dissolving into data. The vibration surged once more. Stronger than before. The floor felt alive beneath my feet. The smell of ozone sharpened. Almost sweet. The system displayed a final sequence. No words. Only pathways. Some leading forward. Some collapsing into darkness. The implications settled heavily. India had not said no to the nations. India had said no to repeating history. Outside the studio, the rain stopped abruptly. The sudden quiet was unsettling. The red camera light still glowed. Unblinking. Documenting a shift no one could undo. The vibration continued. Steady. Patient. As if waiting for the world to decide how much it truly wanted salvation. The quiet after the rain felt unnatural. No distant traffic. No wind against the glass. Only the steady vibration remained. Traveled up through my legs. Into my spine. Settling behind my eyes. The third screen awakened. Dim at first. Then painfully clear. It showed a map of the world without borders. Just land. Just oceans. Just fragile systems layered over ancient ground. My skin crawled. This view felt intimate. Suppose. Piers cleared his throat. The sound echoed louder than it should have. He spoke about responsibility. About moral duty. The words hung in the air. Heavy. Unanswered. The system responded by zooming inward. Focusing on fault lines. Energy choke points. Food routes stretched thin like veins under strain. I tasted copper at the back of my tongue. The vibration deepened. It was no longer beneath us. It was around us. Within us. Technicians behind the glass exchanged glances. None moved. Fear kept them rooted. Another sequence played. Private messages between the 10 nations. Unsent drafts. Contingency plans. Plans that sacrificed millions quietly. My stomach twisted hard. The room felt colder. Sharper. India remained absent from the footage. Its presence was implied. Like gravity. Piers whispered that this was leverage beyond diplomacy. The system answered with imagery of restraint. Locks layered over locks. Safeguards nested like bone within bone. This power was caged by design. I felt a strange relief. Followed by dread. Because cages can open. A tremor rippled through the studio walls. Not damage. Reminder. The map shifted again. Paths illuminated briefly. Some grew brighter. Some faded instantly. Choices measured in consequences. The 10 nations appeared one last time. Their leaders sat straighter now. Voices controlled. Egos subdued. They asked what India wanted in return. The question lingered. The vibration slowed. Almost thoughtful. Then the answer arrived. Not spoken. Education corridors rebuilt. Resource sharing without coercion. Security without dominance. Time to change behavior. Time to prove intent. My eyes burned. This was not mercy. This was accountability. The studio clock ticked louder than before. Each second felt counted. Measured. Piers nodded slowly. His expression carried discomfort. Perhaps shame. The realization pressed down hard. India had forced the world to confront itself. No rescue without reform. No aid without honesty. The vibration intensified suddenly. Lights flickered again. A warning tone brushed the edge of hearing. The screens showed instability rising in distant regions. Markets reacting. Narratives shifting. The world adjusting under pressure. My heart raced. This was the shockwave. Not destruction. Recalibration. The system remained active. Listening. Watching. Judging intent in real time. The red camera light still burned. Broadcasting a truth too large to edit. Felt small. Suppose. And deeply aware that the line India had drawn was not behind us. It was directly in front of everyone watching. The awareness spread beyond the studio walls. I could feel it. Not as fear alone. As weight. A shared pressure settling across continents. The vibration shifted again. Softer. More precise. Like fingers adjusting a delicate instrument. Another feed opened. This one live. Street cameras from distant capitals. People paused mid-step. Phones lowered. Faces lifted toward nothing visible. Collective instinct stirred. Something had changed. The map without borders returned. Now layered with faint pulses of light. Each pulse marked a decision being made. Policy delayed. Threat withdrawn. A lie reconsidered. My chest tightened with each flicker. Piers spoke again. His voice steady but stripped of spectacle. He said history rarely announces itself so clearly. The system reacted with a brief surge. Almost approval. Almost warning. The studio smelled faintly of warm plastic and ozone. My ears rang softly. Not painful. Persistent. A signal that refused to fade. The 10 nations appeared once more. This time not together. Separately. Isolated in their own rooms. The contrast was stark. Without shared pressure, their confidence cracked. One leader removed a flag from the desk. Another loosened a tie with shaking fingers. A third stared at the floor for a long time before speaking. Their words came slower now. Measured. Careful. They asked not for help. They asked for terms. The vibration steadied. The system listened. No rush. No urgency. Time itself seemed to slow. I felt a dull ache behind my eyes. The strain of witnessing something too vast. The screens displayed timelines stretching decades forward. Some bright. Some collapsing into shadow. The difference was subtle. Choice here. A restraint there. No dramatic heroics. Only consistency. Piers leaned forward again. This time not confrontational. Respectful. He said the word power had been misunderstood. The system answered with silence. A deliberate silence. The kind that forces reflection. My breath fogged faintly in front of me. The room felt cooler now. Calmer. But not safe. The vibration remained as a reminder. Not asleep. Not unleashed. Present. The camera zoomed out slowly, showing the studio as just another room. Another node in a vast network of consequence. I realized then why India had said a no. Not to punish. Not to dominate. But to end the cycle of panic-driven salvation. To prevent a future built on shortcuts and fear. Outside the building, clouds began to move again. The rain did not return. The air felt cleansed. Unsettlingly clear. The red camera light finally dimmed. Not off, just dimmer. As if acknowledging that the message had been delivered. The vibration softened to a distant hum. Still there. Still listening. Waiting for the next choice to be made. By a world that now knew it could no longer pretend ignorance. The studio lights cooled to a steady glow. The hum settled into silence. Not gone. Contained. I released a breath I did not know I was holding. My hands stopped shaking. Piers sat back, thoughtful and subdued. No closing argument followed. None was needed. Beyond the walls, the world kept moving. Slower. More aware. The screens faded to black. One by one. Leaving only our reflections staring back. Human. Easy. Responsible. The message lingered heavier than any broadcast. Power had chosen restraint. Strength had chosen patience. India had not turned away from the world. India had forced the world to grow up. The camera light finally went dark. The silence felt earned. And somewhere deep beneath layers of steel and intention, the system waited calmly, knowing the story did not end with control, but with choice. What if the world's most powerful nations dropped their pride and begged a single country for help? And that country calmly said a no. In a studio thick with tension, secrets surfaced, systems awakened, and a decision was revealed that made global leaders fall silent. This is not a story of war or rescue, but of restraint, hidden power, and a line drawn so sharply that it forced the world to confront its own fear. Stay with me till the end, because what India refused to do may be more terrifying than what it could have done.